Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Patriots Real-Time Podcast. I'm your host, Theo Diesenhaus, and today we have a very special guest, Ethan Hurwitz from Gilletenation. Ethan, how you doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So we're going to go over the Patriots' 20-12 win over the Vikings. They're 2-0, three-game win streak going back to last season. Then I'll ask some questions for Ethan. We'll go over some news, and then at the end, we're going to revisit the draft that I did with Austin a month or so ago, and I'll do it with Ethan. So yeah, I'm excited to get into this one, and we'll start with the game. Patriots win 20-12, like I said, at US Bank Stadium. But more importantly than all of that, the Patriots played a 1 o'clock preseason game for the first time since 1997. It was mentioned on the broadcast. It felt so weird. So for you as a fan, how was it to just watch a 1 o'clock preseason game? And I don't think you were alive in 1997. So for the first time in your life, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was so weird because it was just I had to. Usually, it's you go into games during August and you just sort of plan your day around. Okay, after dinner, I'm gonna go and watch the Patriots, and you had to just sort of. I had to plan my whole day around work, and sort of carve out this time in the middle of the day to watch the Patriots in the afternoon. And I went to a restaurant, I sat at the bar, and specifically asked the bartender, please, can you turn on this Patriots preseason game? And so it was weird to just sort of have a preseason game over by 4:15, and then just have the rest of the day to do nothing. But it was weird, and it was good to see a win, even though it doesn't really count. But whether they played 9 in the morning, 1 in the morning, 9 at night, a win's a win, and I can't really complain.
Yeah, you haven't seen many wins. I'm very superstitious, and so I'm like, all right, this is the first time in the last 2 years the Patriots have won 2 preseason games. So this season has to be better. That's kind of my thought process. Hopefully they beat the Giants. They go 3-0 in the preseason. I don't know when the last time they did that, 3-0 in the preseason. Probably a while.
That's probably a stat that I probably would know, but off the top of my head, I have no idea.
You might need to get that graphic ready. First time 3-0.
I might need to prepare.
Yeah.
In case.
Yeah. So let's talk about Drake May. I wouldn't say I was a good performance out of Drake. In this game, he threw a lot of high passes to start the game off. Hollins obviously made the catch. Demario Douglas bounced off his hands, nearly intercepted, should have been intercepted. Drake May as a whole, this entirety of the summer, specifically in the preseason games, what are your thoughts on Drake May?
I think there's a little bit of a learning curve because it's just sort of a whole new offense with a new coaching staff. And I know everyone in New England's familiar with Josh McDaniels and the offense that he runs, but for Drake, it's something completely new. And I think that they're probably asking a lot more of him in terms of just sort of running the offense as opposed to last year where he's just sort of learning the offense. And I think that there's probably just a little more pressure on him to operate at a high level as compared to last year where people are just hoping that he can turn into something good. And so I think that it's preseason, so it's ultimately this is where you fail, and training camp is where you throw 2 interceptions and 3 interceptions and have a bad fumble because it ultimately doesn't really matter. I think if you see that sort of trickle into week 4, week 5, week 6, then it's something to worry about. But he also is not playing with Stephon Diggs. Hunter Henry hasn't been playing consistently. Ramondre Stevenson hasn't been playing consistently. And the offensive line is still yet to figure out their starting 5. So I think it's nothing really to worry about. Obviously, you'd like him to be making every throw possible. I just don't think that that's possible in sort of the grand scheme of things of preseason. So it's not really something that I'm overly worried about and sort of panicking about, but I think that it's he hasn't had that good of a preseason, but he also he's only played 4 or 5 drives. Yeah. So it's if he played the full game, he'd probably settle in and start hitting those throws, but preseason week 2 is not the time to see Drake May throw 40 times.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. It's kind of weird is Drake has been really good during training camp. He's limited the turnovers. Obviously today he had 2 interceptions to Robert Spillane, so not great, but he's limited the turnovers through training camp, and then you go out to the preseason, only 1 turnover, the fumble, but it was a terrible decision. Probably should have been 2. And he just hasn't looked great in front of people. And obviously people go to training camp, whatever, but most people are watching the preseason games. Most people take into the preseason games in like a higher standard, I guess you could say, than training camp. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but like they value preseason over training camp. Um, and he's looked good in the joint practices, so it's kind of weird that during the preseason is when he's looked the worst. So yeah, I don't know. But moving on, I guess Travion Henderson, another good game. I think it was 4 carries for 20 yards, but he got in on the the 8-yard touchdown run. I can't talk, but the 8-yard touchdown run. Thoughts on Travion Henderson as a whole, and just honestly the Patriots running back room. And do you think they'll keep 4?
I think Henderson. The Henderson is going to be totally legit, and the way that I've been talking to people is like I think that when you saw Ramondre Stevenson sort of take over for Damian Harris, that in 2021, that is sort of what you might be able to see with Travion Henderson this year, where Stevenson's not 100%. Henderson is showing explosiveness in the running and passing game, and clearly on special teams too. And so I think that if Stevenson's fumbles were bad last year, but it was just sort of like you had to keep going with him because Antonio Gibson's fine, but Stevenson is sort of just better than him. Whereas if Henderson is outplaying Stevenson and Ramondre puts the ball on the turf a few times, I think it's something where you could probably see Henderson overtake him. And so I think that he's probably someone that people are going to just fall in love with because I think he's going to be a fantasy darling. I think everyone's going to love the aspect of getting 4 or 5 or 6 catches out of the backfield and running for 50, 60 yards. And then also, if he's returning kicks. So I think people are going to love him nationwide. I think in New England, people have already fallen in love with him, and that just sort of started with week 1 of the preseason.
Yeah.
I'd say probably 4 running backs would be my guess. If not, they'll probably keep like two on the practice squad. I think you're probably going with Stevenson, Henderson, and Antonio Gibson as 1, 2, 3. I've seen some people say Terrell Jennings. He's been out the last few days. So I like Terrell Jennings. He was fine last year. He's just sort of more of the developmental player that will probably improve on his game if he's on the practice squad. So I'd say Terrell Jennings. The Jermichael Hasty has special teams talent, but I don't know if he's more anything but a camp body. But he might clear waivers, or he doesn't even need to go through waivers. I don't think so. It's probably like I think 1, 2, 3. You might maybe have Jack Westover as your fullback, and that's just sort of how you operate your backfield. I think 4 Terrell Jennings would probably be the number 4 guy. But yeah, I think it's week 3 is where you're going to get the potential of people sort of showing out and maybe forcing their hand to have 4 running backs on the starting roster.
Yeah, and Lan Larison obviously goes down with the broken foot, so I think he would have made the team.
Yeah, he was trending that way. It was definitely something where it would have been him or someone else. I would probably like there would be more of a discussion of 4 running backs if Larison was still healthy. I'd think.
Yeah.
But I'd say that now that he's done for the year, there's probably more of a likelihood that they just might not even go with 4, or if they go with 4, there's probably just sort of conversations for multiple people.
Yeah, and like you said, or kind of similar to what you said, it opens up a spot for maybe a 7th receiver. Maybe a Javon Baker now earns his roster spot as that special teamer. I don't think any other receiver besides, well, I guess your 5 on right now, obviously, are Matt Collins, Kyle Williams, not Kendrick Bourne, oh my goodness, Stephon Diggs, and then, who am I forgetting? Keyshawn Boutte and Demario Douglas. And then Efton Chisholm looks like he's going to make the team.
I'd say that he's a lock for the team.
Yeah, he's probably a lock.
He's definitely someone that they'll probably have one or 2 drives in on Thursday and give him the day off. And I think at this point it's safe to chisel him in as the 6th receiver.
Yeah. But yeah, also he's dealing with an injury, so he might not even play against the Giants.
Yeah.
And then it's really just between Baker and no one else because you have John Giles, but like it's John Giles, I don't know. And then you also have Jeremiah Webb, who had a very nice return in the game, but once again it's Jeremiah Webb, and this is kind of off topic, but does John Giles looked like Kendrick Bourne too on the field because I swear to God, he is Kendrick Bourne.
He's that sort of lanky guy that
Yeah,
sort of just runs like Kendrick Bourne. He's a very
he runs
animated runner.
like
Yeah.
yeah. And he wears the sleeve like Kendrick Bourne. I'm like, that is Kendrick Bourne out there.
He
But
looks like Kendrick Bourne on the field.
yeah, that was weird. But yeah, so I guess if you can have Kendrick Bourne on the practice squad, who can't catch as well because he had a drop. But yeah, so speaking of Kendrick Bourne, thoughts on Bourne? Is he off the team? I'd say so. But what do you think?
I'd say just sort of looking at the numbers of it, I'd say that he's probably off the team. Just he hasn't been able. I mean, he got hurt. He got tweaked up in that in stadium practice.
Yeah.
Hasn't been on the field since. And I think that just solely as a numbers game aspect of it, I think that he's probably just worth more to the team as a trade piece as opposed to just keeping him on the team because he's been good in years past.
Hmm.
There's, everyone always talks about how he's going to get traded to the 49ers again, and that was his old team, and the Niners receiving
Yeah.
corps was just depleted beyond belief. I'm fine with it. I think you could probably get a sixth. Even so, if it's deadline day and you want to, you got to cut down to 53, and a team offers you a seventh round pick for him, I'd say that you probably take that because
Yeah.
at this point, he hasn't shown you anything this summer that would warrant him making a team over, Matt Collins or Booty or Chisholm or even Polk or Baker. It's just
Yep.
he hasn't been out there to even prove why he should make the team, and it's nothing against Kendrick Bourne. Like Kendrick Bourne is an
Yeah.
awesome guy,
Mhm.
and just like the ball of energy that like the Patriots of the last few years like totally needed. I just think that he's just sort of caught up in a numbers game, and you bring in Diggs and Hollins and Williams, and those are three newcomers that are basically taking the
Chisholm.
spots of Baker and Polk and Bourne.
Yeah.
So I think that he's probably just more valuable to the team as someone that they should shop. And if you can get a sixth round pick, a seventh round pick, a conditional seventh round pick, I think you probably take it because that's probably the most you're going to get for him.
Yeah. I was a little bit worried that if you cut Bourne, you lose, like you said, that high energy guy. And honestly, I think they can get it from other spots. They can get leadership from other spots. Now you have a coach who's a leader, and that's not really a shot at Gerard Mayo, but Gerard Mayo was not a leader. I don't know. I don't know why I'm thinking about Gerard Mayo right now, but Gerard Mayo was not a good coach. And okay. Anyways, 2025. Yeah, so Bourne, I don't think that you can get a seventh round pick out of Bourne. I don't think that you can get anything out of Bourne because, like you said, all the reasons that you want him off the team are all the reasons that he's unattractive to other teams. So I really don't think that there's a way to get a seventh. But yeah, if a team offers you a seventh, you have to take that. Let's see. Josh Dobbs. So a lot of people are talking about Josh Dobbs as a guy that they want off the team. I don't like. Obviously, he hasn't had a great camp, but who are you gonna replace him with? Ben Woldridge, no, and then there's no one else. If Drake May, who went down with two, probably he only had one official concussion, but he probably had two concussions last year. He's a guy that might get injured. He might not play the full 17. Yeah, just what are your thoughts on people saying Josh Dobbs should be off this team and just Josh Dobbs as a whole?
I think it was yesterday. I did a story for Sports Illustrated for Josh Dobbs and his sort of bad start to the preseason. Some guy in my comments was like, "Oh, this is a bad take." But I think like he hasn't had a good preseason. I don't think that that's like outlandish to say. Is he hasn't looked good. He's led some drives that ended in scores, but the passes have been shaky.
Yep.
Just sort of the operation of the offense hasn't looked as fluid. And Vrabel called him out on it during one of the joint practices and said that his accuracy has got to get better. And Baker struggled in getting some passes in week 2 of the preseason because Dobbs just kept missing him. And so it's one of those things where, and this is my big thing when you talk about quarterbacks struggling in the preseason is Matt Castle. If you watch Matt Castle's 2008 preseason, it is one of the worst preseasons you'll ever see of any professional athlete in any sport. Like, it is unbelievable. He throws like 4 pick sixes, and like it's unbelievable. It is truly the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And I love Matt Castle. And that year, Brady got hurt, and Castle led them to 11 wins. And so it's one of the things where, sure, he's not been good in the preseason, and as of what we've seen of Drake May so far, um, like he might get hurt again. And I think that Dobbs has had enough experience and is savvy enough as a veteran that he could probably keep you in some games. But I think it's just nothing more than what Jacoby Brissett was last year, and just sort of that prototypical game manager, don't lose games for you. So I think he's a good backup. They signed him for 2 years anyway, so he's probably not going to get cut unless he is so atrocious that they're forced to cut him.
Even that,
I think it's nothing really to lose sleep over. And a quarterback starting in the preseason, it's just the preseason. So I think he's probably solidified the QB2 spot.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think there's no competition. Ben Woldridge is a guy who doesn't even get reps in team periods, in 11-on-11s, and 7-on-7s, and whatever. He's not getting reps, and maybe he'll get 2 reps, and I miss those. But when I was at training camp, I swear to God, I've never seen Ben Woldridge take a rep, except for in the in-stadium practice where he threw an interception that went off Land Larson's hands. But still, I don't think Ben Woldridge is really any threat to Josh Dobbs. He did have a good first preseason game, but I don't even remember how he played in the second one. He was 7 for 13, 55 yards. So
yeah, the offense just sort of sputtered out in the second half, and it was just sort of field goals and punting for the rest of the second half.
Yeah. All right, let's transition to the defense. Kyle Duggar he played the final play of the game today, running scout team defense. I mean, I feel like Vrabel is not disrespecting Kyle Duggar, but Kyle Duggar is not a scout team player, no matter how bad he is, no matter if he doesn't know the defense yet. He's not a scout team player. He has talent. He was a second-round pick. But I don't know. I wrote something about Kyle Duggar. I didn't think he was terrible in the game. Obviously, last year, I did not think he was good. He was injured, though. And 2023 wasn't great either, but 2022, he made plays. This is a guy that can make plays. The Patriots' defense has been bottom, 5 in turnovers over the last 2 years? Something like that.
It's been lacking.
And Duggar's a guy that can make plays on the football, and I think you need to keep him around, especially as a backup. Plus, it's not going to be great for your cap, right? Yeah, if they cut him...
Cap hit on the team.
Yeah, the cap hit is 15, or that's how much he's making.
It's, I think, $9 million. If
$9
they
million.
got rid of him, is $9 million on the cap. I could be wrong. But yeah, it's definitely something where he's probably someone that you sort of have to trade because you can't really afford to just cut his contract. And I think that a lot of that, and this just could be me reading between the lines, is he is someone from the old regime, and Mike Vrabel wants to bring in his guys, and that's why we saw a lot of the guys that were sort of holdovers from last year and the year before on the defensive side of the ball just sort of leave. And then you get Anthony Jennings, who was another one of those guys in Jenner's draft class that it's a complete change in defensive scheme for him. And so, the Patriots have a good secondary. Duggar last year didn't do good enough to really show why he would deserve a roster spot. But it's kind of crazy to see on paper that the downfall of Kyle Duggar, where he was one of the most electric players in football, and any ball that hit his hands he could probably take to the house, and had 2 in 2022, and now he's repping scout team a week before the last preseason game. So it's kind of shocking to see.
Yeah, I don't know how long ago, 7 or 8. No, when was the end of the season? 7 or 8 months ago, something like that. I remember my whole family. This is unnecessary to tell this whole story, but whatever. My whole family is sitting around me. I have my computer, and I wrote this thing about Kyle Duggar, about how next year he's going to be cut. And I mean, I kind of predicted it, but obviously I didn't know Vrabel was going to come in and change up the defense. So didn't really predict it, just kind of lucked into the prediction. But I honestly want to be wrong because I like Kyle Duggar. And I think that he's kind of getting done dirty. I don't know. I kind of already said everything that I need to say about that. This is also kind of just random, but what's with the Mac Hollins hate and everyone not liking Mac Hollins? Like, I don't understand. Like, Mac Hollins should be cut. You don't even know how many comments I get about people saying Hollins should be cut. And, like, more so when he wasn't participating. It's like, where the heck is Mac Hollins? And it's like, he's right there helping out Javon Baker with this drill. It's like, why is Mac Hollins on vacation? It's like, he's right there. I don't understand the Mac Hollins hate.
I think Matt Collins is just so animated on social media and is
Yeah.
just so out there that he's just sort of just prone to the Matt Collins hate. And like, oh, I hate Matt Collins. Matt Collins sucks. Blah blah blah. And I mean, some of the videos are just so ridiculous in theory.
Yeah.
Where like he's talking about like sleep paralysis demons, and we're like, and he's posting it during the middle of a practice.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is just his social media manager or whatever. But it's you know, when you're sort of that character like that, you sort of open yourself up for just what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm kind of like, what are these videos? I open the videos. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's putting M&Ms in his water after each win, and he's walking around barefoot. And so, like, it's kind of just crazy stuff to see.
Yeah.
But then you saw him on Saturday, and he had a ridiculous sideline catch. And it's, you know, I don't care how many M&Ms or Skittles or whatever type of candy you want to put in your water. If you can make those catches and contribute in any way, you'll endear yourself to the Patriots fans.
Yeah.
And they will accept all the quirks that they come with it.
Yes, but like you said, he hasn't, or not like you said, but he hasn't proved himself yet, and he's starting to. But I remember last year just watching all of those videos because he did like I think he posted 365 reels last year, and I was just so entertained by him. Like, I hope Mac Hollins comes to the Patriots. And if you look at the Instagram caption that I had on the post where I announced that Mac Hollins, well, I didn't announce it, but I was just reporting what I saw. But I was like, finally, I have an excuse to follow Mac Hollins on Instagram. So, you know, that was fun. Getting to follow Mac Hollins on Instagram. Let's see, what else? Afton Chisholm had a good game. I think we talked about that. Anthony Jennings, 3 sacks. Don't understand. Like, I understand that he's not a great fit in the defense, but I think you should just keep him around because he is a good player. Oh, also, forgot to say this earlier, but you were talking about how Mike Vrabel's trying to bring in a new culture. And if you look at some of the cuts that he made, specifically the David Andrews cut, and yes, I know maybe David Andrews is not ready post-surgery, and maybe he's like too physically old to play in the NFL still, but look at the center situation right now. Garrett Bradbury does not look very good at center. And then Jared Wilson is not given, well, I guess he played in the preseason game, but he hasn't been given very many opportunities to play center. He's mostly playing left guard. Cole Strange, I don't know how nobody talks about this, but Cole Strange has one of the worst snaps I've ever seen in my life. He snaps the ball high every time. And if you look at the highlights from that game, you look at Joe Milton catching the ball, he's reaching up every single time to catch the football in the Bills game of last year. And then Ben Brown, I guess he's solid, but do you really want Ben Brown to be your center? A guy that you signed off the Raiders practice squad last year. And then, Alec Lindstrom is your other center, right? And he might have got hurt in the first preseason game. So, like, yes, David Andrews could have been not okay to play, but at least maybe keep him around, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where we probably, and I'm sure there's just so many conversations going on behind the scenes that just none of us are aware of, and it's probably a lot of, like, David was probably, as much as he wanted to probably go on his podcast and say that he was ready, he probably wasn't ready to suit it up for a whole, summer and then fall and then winter, and I think it's one of the things where they probably released him just because the Pats were probably, and this is just me speculating, is they were probably like, hey, we just don't think you're ready, and we just feel more comfortable having a healthy center, regardless of who that may be. And I think they probably did him justice by saying, we're going to release you. You go out and find whatever spots you want to. You can entertain whatever free agent. Like, we don't want to just, like, keep you on here just to keep you. And then that was probably when Andrews realized, like, I'm probably, like, this is the end. it would have been great to have a healthy David Andrews on this offensive
Yeah.
line with what you hope to be Onwenu Moses Campbell and probably Jared Wilson at left guard.
Hmm.
That would have been a great offensive line. I think the offensive line will work it out. They've been shuffling completely, like other than the tackles and so I guess just the left guard and center are the only ones that are truly shuffling. But
Yeah.
the offensive line has been pretty fluid all summer, and Vrabel said that they're still pretty far from figuring it all out because it's pretty rare that you see all 5 guys play together at the same time for the entirety of the season. So I think that there's something to be said about them trying to move different guys into different spots. And, sure, maybe Cole Strange is snapping it high a little bit, but, maybe in November when injuries strike, like, it's good to have Cole Strange have those reps that you can now trust Cole Strange to play center for a game. So it would be great to have David Andrews back, but I think that, he clearly realized that his time in the NFL was up, and I think that that's why he retired up rather than just signing just some vet minimum deal somewhere else.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. Yeah, you would love to have David Andrews, but like you said, not healthy. So fever dream. But yeah. Any last thoughts on the game? Patriots 2012. 2-0.
I mean, 3-0 in 2025 is not bad.
Okay.
So you can't really complain. Thursday is going to be. I'm not going to be able to watch. I don't think I'm going to be able to watch most of the game on Thursday. So we'll see. I'm probably going to have to tape it and watch it after. So, but yeah, no, it's just one day closer to real football, and that's all that matters. And it's fun to see just sort of those unsung. And this is my favorite part of the preseason every year is just seeing those guys that you never expected to make the roster compete at a high level, and then by this time they're considered roster locks by everybody. And that, you're looking at the Efton Chisholm and DJ James, and then you get those positional battles where it comes down to the last day and who's going to be our kicker and who's going to be our swing tackle, and is Josh Dobbs going to be the backup quarterback? So I really like that aspect of the preseason. So some people just say it's sort of boring and whatever, but whenever I can just sit in front of the TV and watch 4 hours of football with the Pats, like I'll take that any day of the week.
I mean, there's absolutely nothing better than sitting in front of the TV at like 10:30, and you see Jordan Polk make a play. You see Mikey Victor drop an interception last year. Del Pettis make a huge tackle. There's nothing better. Brandon Crossley make a play. Like, there's absolutely... That's something false, bro. There's absolutely nothing better than seeing those guys make plays, and yeah, I love it. But it sucked because the game was at 1 o'clock, so it couldn't be 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
And watching that happen. And I like when the games are at Gillette more, too. Next year they'll have 2 at Gillette because they play, more away games than home games next year. But this year, play more home games. That's how the preseason works. But who knows if there'll be 3 preseason games next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the conversation where they'll make more money with an extra regular season game over the preseason game. But I always think they never should have changed it from 4 to 3. I like the preseason games. I think it is a disservice to the guys that are trying to earn a roster spot. And, it's going to make the league more money for an extra game, but it's also just more wear and tear on the players in general. But welcome to the NFL in 2025.
Yeah. I have a very random question for you.
Yeah.
We go back to 2023. So, Packers-Patriots preseason. The Isaiah Bolden thing happened, and the Patriots canceled joint practices with the Titans. That was like my first season covering the Patriots. Was that kind of like a crazy, whoa, this is... I mean, I know the Isaiah Bolden thing was pretty crazy, but I'm more talking about, the joint practices getting canceled and being like, whoa, that's kind of crazy, I guess.
It's crazy because I remember I was interning at Channel 7 in Boston when that happened, and I was in the station watching that game. And I remember having to lean over and tell my boss they just canceled the game. And I remember then the practices the next week were just super, super slow. And it's one of those things where I think it's the league sort of shifted their mindset post Damar Hamlin injury, where a lot of it's just sort of like realizing the mortality of football, and just sort of understanding that it's ultimately a game. And whenever you see an injury of that magnitude, because at the end of the day, like, you don't want to see any injury, but you know, a broken finger, a twisted ankle is something that it's not life and death. But when you see someone like, you know, neck up getting hit and then having to get stretchered off, it just sort of reinforces the fact that it's like, this is just sort of a brutal sport. And so I think that the team just sort of realized, like, we don't need to be practicing with another team, and just by the end of it, we'll get into a full team fight, because that's basically what every joint practice is. And I think that there's just realizing that, like, it is a grown man's game. And so that was weird. It was like they canceled a full week of joint practices ahead of that preseason game because you know, an injury the week before. But it's preseason, so it's one of the things where I'm not gonna like lose sleep over it. But it was weird to see, you know, an injury from 1 week prior sort of impact the teams for the next game.
And like I said, that was like my first year being like very locked in, because obviously I was a Patriots fan before I started my Instagram account. Obviously I was pretty locked in, but when you start that account, you definitely get more locked in. Did that same thing happen to you, or were you always like, I know 53 guys on the roster? Because for me, it was like, I know like 30 guys on the roster to like, I know 80 guys on the roster in the preseason.
I mean, I wouldn't say I knew 53, but I'd go as far to say as I do probably 50. Like, that was just like my thing, and I was like the Patriots kid in high school, so people would always come up to me and ask about the Pats. So it's like that has always just sort of been my thing, and it helps that I've lived 15 minutes from Gillette my whole life and grown up going to games. So it's just one of those things where it's like the Patriots have always come easy to me, and it's just I'm always just starting in like 2010, that playoff game that lost to the Jets. That was the first ever game I went to, and I don't remember it, but I have been told that they lost the game. It was the first ever game I went to. Didn't know anyone other than probably Tom Brady, Wes Welker, Rob Gronkowski, and I cried my way to the car. And I guess ever since then, I've been completely locked into this team, and it's weird, but it is basically become just a talking point for me. Like, everything revolves. Like, the first thing I think about when I wake up, the last thing I think about before I go to bed is something Patriots related, something football related, and that's, I guess, just how I've been wired.
Yeah, I had like a weird thing. So I got into football and the Patriots, and I got into football during the 2013, or I guess it was 2014, I guess, Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl. That was the first NFL game I ever watched. And then that whole offseason, I was like super kind of into it. And then season started, 2014 season. That was my first season watching football. I was super locked in. That's my favorite season of all time. I wrote an essay last year that was like 9 paragraphs. Actually, it was this year. That was 9 paragraphs on why that team was the best team ever. And I ended up just telling the story of the team and not actually proving a point, but it doesn't matter. Because I just love that team so much. This is my first team that I ever watched. And then 15 and 16, I was pretty same level. 17, I had like ski lessons during the Patriots games, which was weird. I was like 8 that year. And then, was I 8 that year? It doesn't matter. Yes, I was. And then 18 and 19 was, I like got super into baseball. So I watched every game, but I wasn't extremely locked in. And then 20, 21, and 22, I was more locked into like the whole landscape of the NFL than just the Patriots. And then 23, I became super locked in. And since then, I haven't looked back. But I've known, like, obviously what's going on and stuff. Yeah, so, all right. I can get into some other questions that I came up with before here. But I guess, what's your favorite post, or the post that you're most proud of that you made?
There's a couple. The first one that comes to mind, this answer will probably change the second I get off this, and I'll come up with 50 more. There was one, because I'm just such a nerd about the history of the team, and always just sort of the minor stuff that come with being a football team. There was a post I did last year of every uniform patch that the team has worn
Oh, I
in their
remember that post.
history. And so that one was really fun to make. That one I really enjoyed because I always like trying to come up with stuff that's sort of out of the box,
Hmm.
and sort of just random. There was one I did that took so long to get, but it was like 20 videos of like the best player touchdown celebrations or sack celebrations
I
in
remember
recent
that.
history. That one was cool. Um, I just I there's so many stuff that at the end of the day just sort of comes and blurs together. Um, because I just try to come up with just random stuff. I remember there was a few that I was planning to do this off season that I just couldn't get around to do that I'm actually think would be pretty cool, but I'll probably save those for later. Um, those are two that come to mind immediately, and I'm sure
Yeah.
I'll have 15 more that come to mind in the immediate future.
Yeah. That always happens to me.
Yep.
Yep. Hmm. Yeah. I don't even know how because I mentioned, I don't know if this was like when we were recording, but I mentioned, no, it wasn't, Calvin Johnson being better than Wes Welker. Or the other way around, Wes Welker being better than Calvin Johnson. I was like, I don't remember how I stumbled upon that post, but I remember
I completely
seeing,
forgot about that post until you mentioned it. That
yeah,
was a ridiculous post that I made. That was probably like COVID, 2021 maybe. Um, anything that pushes the Wes Walker agenda further.
yeah. I remember seeing that, and I was like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I guess he is better.
Cherry pick all the stats to make it look like he is.
Yeah, the comments on that post were just
Mm-hmm.
like, "Are you stupid?"
Wow.
Yeah, but it's okay. I'm trying to think about posts that I liked of yours. There's all of them pretty much, but
Thanks.
um, yeah, the reason I started my account was definitely you. Like you were one of the main reasons because I've been following you since I got Instagram in 2020. So yeah, and then I also like because you do the post where it's like, and my dog's barking. Sorry,
Nice.
but you do the post where it's blank week, like Panthers week or whatever.
Yeah.
And I totally stole that idea from you. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I'm gonna do it this year. I haven't decided. Cause
It's fun to just find old stuff from those whatever team they're playing, and I
hmm,
have like folders in my phone of like random stuff to post when like they play the Bills,
yeah.
and so I'll just sort of go through that and see if anything's of interest. And
Hmm.
I just like posting random stuff that makes me entertained, and if it makes me entertained, more than likely it'll make other people entertained, and that's just sort of how
One time,
I've continued
so
to
I
do.
don't follow college basketball at all. But I was gonna do like a random Patriots photo dump, and I found this photo that said Pat's Madness. Didn't even think that it was March, the tournament was going on. I posted that as the first slide, and I think everyone just assumed it was like a March Madness thing, and I didn't even connect the dots when posting. I'm like, it got like 90 likes, and at the time that was good, and I'm just like, okay, why is this posted? I posted like 9 photos, no caption. I'm like, why is this post doing so well? And that's probably why, because I don't. Probably makes no sense to you, but I don't know. I just posted 9 random photos starting with Pat's Madness with a picture of Bill Belichick on it, and um, people must have thought it was my March Madness Patriots tribute. So
Welcome to the weird world of social media where you can put hours into a post and it does awful, and then you just randomly grab one and it becomes one of your biggest posts. It's the weirdest thing ever.
mhm. Are you concerned with like count at all?
Not really. I think when I started, yeah, because like ideally you want to like have a big page.
Hmm.
But it's like Instagram's a weird app anyway, so it's really like I don't really pay attention to it much. I I post what I find interesting, and
Hmm.
more than likely someone else is gonna find it interesting. And I like doing stuff that at the end of the day, it's like my page, so like I don't really care how many people like it or not. But it's just one of those things. Like I'm sure I did when I was younger,
Hmm.
'cause I've been doing it for a while. And when I first started, I'm sure there were posts that like probably got like 4 or 5 likes. When I had like 5 followers, and I was like, "Oh, this
Hmm.
post is terrible. I'm gonna delete it." Now it's ultimately like I put effort into it. I'm not gonna delete it. I don't. It's just something to add, and
Hmm.
it's nothing really that I take that seriously.
Yeah. I definitely do care about that. Um, Sometimes if a post gets like if it's like up there for an hour and it's got like 5 likes, I'm like, I might have to take this down because this is kind of embarrassing. Um, because usually when I do the player of the week, or yeah, that's what it's called, it'll get like 80 or so likes, but then recently it's gotten like barely to 30. So, and I don't delete those, but yeah, I don't know. It's a bit concerning if the Patriots win a lot of games this year. But yeah, I'll only do those after a win. I don't. Do you do them after the loss to player of the game?
Players of the game. I think I've done them after every single game except for the 2019 playoff loss against the Titans, just because I don't even think I thought about it. 'Cause that was my
Hmm.
first year doing it. I just never even considered it. But other than that, I think I try to do player of the games for every single game. Yeah.
Yeah, I only do it after a win. There's something else I was gonna say, but I forget. Um, oh, was it? I guess cool to cover the two playoff games that the Patriots have been in because I've only seen 4 and 13 seasons with the Instagram account.
Um. Yeah, it's cool. It's just sort of like it would be a lot cooler if I got to cover a Super Bowl
Yeah.
team. But
Mm.
they're 0-2 in those two playoff games, so that's just sort of how the extent of what my family calls the Gilletenation curse has begun, and how everything I touch is cursed and awful. But it's cool. It's just at that point, I'm just more, anxious and wanting to watch the game more so than like what I'm gonna post, and I just try to react more. And it would have been a lot cooler if they won the game. That's for sure.
Yeah. I always wonder, like, if the Patriots have, or like, let's say Drake May throws a game-winning touchdown pass to Kyle Williams to win the Super Bowl. Am I gonna have to like jump and celebrate, or am I gonna have to find that video on Twitter and post it? Like, what's gonna be my first reaction? I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, that's yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
I've been doing this. What is my like my sixth year doing this, and I get to experience that feeling. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe the closest thing was like the Marcus Jones punt return touchdown,
Mm.
and the Mike Gesicki one in 23, but
Oh, that's
nothing to that extent. But
yeah.
100% would have a post ready just in case they won the Super Bowl. That the second they win, I hit publish, and then I can accept, and then I can celebrate.
Oh, that's a good idea. I think I'm gonna make that post right now.
Here you go, just in case.
Yeah, 2025 Super Bowl
Yep.
champion, New England Patriots. When you got your name, how did did you just like come up with that, or because that's a really good name, Gilletenation.
I was I don't even know how I came up with it. It was just I wanted something like original,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of has probably hindered me in some capacity because like it doesn't have Patriots in the name, so when people search Patriots, it's not the first thing that comes up. So oh
So,
well. But I like it just because like I live close to Gillette.
mm-hmm.
I always like grew up going to Gillette, and like it was just sort of the thing where like I'm just the stadium is cool to me,
Mm-hmm.
and so just like Gillette Nation, it has the name, it has the fan pagey sounding name, and it sort of sounds like Gillette Stadium, I guess, without being Gillette Stadium. So I'm honestly surprised that my high school self came up with it, and
Yeah.
I've stuck with it for so long. But if they ever change the sponsorship of the stadium, I'm totally screwed.
Yeah. Um, no, because I've seen a lot of people that are trying. They like go to a concert or something. They try to tag Gillette Stadium, and
Oh
then they'll
yeah,
tag you.
yeah, 100%. That always happens. I get tagged in Coldplay videos,
Yeah.
concerts, the motor cross like dirt trucks. I get tagged in all this.
Mhm. Yeah. That must be annoying, but I don't know. Also, could help you grow your page if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's following me because they think I'm the stadium, like,
Yeah.
perfect, I'll take it.
Mhm. Yeah. It definitely could be this. Like, it's like you have the official Gillette Stadium account, and then you have like Gillette Nation account,
Yeah.
which is just like I don't know the people that go to Gillette. Who knows? I don't know. It could work out for you there. Um, let's see. What else do we have here? Um, there's some news today. Matthew Judon signed with the Dolphins. Like I
Yep.
guess it was like 10 minutes ago, like 50 minutes ago, so like an hour ago. Um, Matt Judon to the Falcons. Thoughts on that? Not to the Falcons, to the Dolphins. Thoughts on that?
I mean, Dolphins probably need some good edge rushers.
And
Now
they're
he
not
gets
getting it out of Judon.
now he
No.
gets to face New England twice a year, so I mean that would be
Mm,
cool. I'm sure he'll get a good reception in week what,
two.
18 is their
Eight.
game against
Yeah.
them, 17, 18.
18,
It'll be
yeah.
cool. Everyone always wanted him back, and it's just one of the things that he's probably getting up there in age that he probably won't contribute as much as he did when he first got to New England, but it'll be fun to see him. Let's see what
Mm.
color sleeves he does this time because it was purple and then red, and so it'll probably be like orange or green.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. That's what I'm interested in.
The sleeves, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Matthew Judon had a really bad year last year. So I don't think he'll be too good for the Dolphins. But a lot of people, or he like posted on his story yesterday. He was like, I don't know what he said, something about coming back to New England, and I was like, don't really need him here, but that's okay. They really fleeced the Falcons for Jared Wilson there.
Yeah.
I guess he's good. Okay, so you mentioned how the patches post. So uniforms. There's a lot of Patriots uniform news always, but August 28th, the rivalry jersey is coming out. Do you have any thoughts on what it could be or what you want it to be?
So my ideal uniform that I want is a replica of the 1960s jerseys, where it's white and light blue and red stripes, sort of like what the away jersey is now, but then they have the tri-cornered hat logo with their numbers on the side of their helmet. That is my dream jersey. Just sort of reading between the lines of the video that they posted, it was like iconic matchup, Boston versus New York.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me feel like they're throwing it back to the AFL days if they're saying Boston and not New England. And then they said like a snowstorm or a hurricane or something snowy,
It's like rain.
avalanche, something like that was coming,
Yeah.
which makes me think that it's gonna be like a white, gray, silver-ish jersey. And for all we know, it's gonna just be like the normal home and away jerseys, just gray, which would kind of suck.
Oh.
But I really have no idea. I would like my thoughts on it is that the Patriots have, other than changing from the Pat Patriot to the Royal Patriot, or the Flying Elvis, and that whole drastic color scheme change in the 90s they're a pretty just sort of stable team in terms of their jerseys and their colorways, and I don't think they're going to be doing anything crazy like dropping a whole new logo or that's so out of the ordinary. They
Yeah.
might change it, tweak something in terms of how the jersey's laid out, but the most drastic thing they've ever done with uniforms is going from red with stripes on the side to the crazy 90s royal blues. So I think that they'll probably stay the same in some sort of remixed version of an old throwback, because they're probably not going to be dropping out some yellow jersey or some like
The marathon.
maroon red jersey. Like it's probably going to be just sort of a minor tweak, and it's going to be like a just sort of an off-white silver.
Mm.
That would be my guess, but I'd love to see the 1960s jerseys with the tri-cornered hats, because they've only worn those once ever. They got discontinued after one season, so that would be sick. That would be my ideal jersey to see.
Yeah, that would be cool, especially with the different helmet, because they never wore the tri-corner anymore. They wear the Patriot on the side. But yeah, that would be cool. Have you seen my concepts that I did?
Yeah, no, I like the idea. I keep seeing a lot of people are doing them where it's like just sort of like snowy looking, and
Yeah.
some people are like lighthouse jersey, which I mean I'm a sucker for lighthouse, so like sure, but
Mhm.
I like the idea of doing something that's sort of cohesive in a way that sort of just already works with
Yeah.
what the team already has,
Mhm.
because I don't think they're going to be doing something crazy. I like the idea of having like a blue, maybe, if it matches. Like if it doesn't totally work, like I don't want them to force something.
Mhm.
But like what they did for the Color Rush in 2016, and it's now the home jersey. Like I like that. Like you just sort of change the style of the jersey. But like I would like a light blue, white, silverish, something like that, as long as they don't try to force something that's not there.
Yeah. So the one that's been going around right now, the one that I made, the UNC-ish jerseys,
Yeah.
Yeah, those. I mean, I made it. I don't like those at all. They look bad. Well, I mean, I didn't come up with the idea, but I like made a post about it. But
Yeah.
they look ugly. I think my first idea. I don't know if you remember that. It was like a off-white tan thing. It had blue numbers. Patriots. It had I think blue and white stripes. It had like trees on the side, but we can get rid of the trees if we want to. And then it was just you could either it had like navy pants. I think that I like that idea, but I got like hundreds of hate comments saying that they sucked. I think that they were good personally, but
I think whatever jersey they drop, there are gonna be some people that absolutely love it. Some people that are just like, this is the grossest thing I've ever seen, and that's just what happens whenever any team drops any uniform.
mhm.
So I'm looking forward to it. Will I buy one? Probably not, but I am excited to see what they look like, and hopefully they don't look awful.
Yeah,
I,
I'm
as
buying
long as
no
they
matter.
look good, I don't care what color they are.
I'm spending $150 or however much it is because it's going to be a special jersey, so it's going to be higher. I saved up my money for August 28th,
There you
so
go.
hopefully first day of school for me. That's going to be great. In school on NFL Shop. No, definitely.
The important stuff.
Yeah, the important stuff, right? Junior year does not matter, right?
No, not at all.
Just-
Mine was canceled with COVID, so.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
No.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the hardest year of high school, so maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Was it like, oh, I was going to say my fifth grade year, but you don't know what I'm talking about. Was it like the 2019-2020 school year, or was it like 2020-2021 school year?
It was 2021.
Okay, so that was just like fully not there.
Yeah.
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 So you really didn't have a junior. You barely had a sophomore year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but did you have a senior year? That was okay.
Yeah, it was like half and half, like
Mm,
cohorts and whatever. But
yeah,
my college experience it was all in person, so that I can't.
that's
really
good.
myself.
Quinnipiac.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. I still am not in college, so obviously, but yeah. I think that's it for the podcast. So, yeah. You want to find Ethan? He's at Gilletenation on Instagram, and you have a personal account too, Ethan Hurtowitz.
Ethan Hurwitz 24.
Hurwitz?
Personal
Yep.
Instagram, Twitter is
If you want.
Hurwitz Sports.
Mm-hmm.
All my stuff is pretty much there if you want to find me. But yeah, I'm always on my phone. I'm a 22-year-old that talks about sports, so it's really not. There's no reason for me not to be on my phone.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Gilletenation has been my pride and joy. So
Yep.
it's always.
So go follow him there. You already are following him because there's only like 20 people on this account. So, yeah. All right. You know where to find me, Patriots 3. Maybe one time Austin will come on his podcast. This is a direct shot at you, Austin. You should come on your podcast with me. So, yeah. Sorry. But, yeah, so Austin, I hope to see you on our podcast soon. But yeah, so thank you for watching, and thank you, Ethan, for coming on the pod.
Thanks for having me. Go Pats.
All right. Sorry.